The family had said okay, and they were beginning to do their little investigation. In that investigation, he had a whole list, a whole record of hospital fraud. And he was a doctor.
They do that a lot.
So, you know, listen, I'm not giving you anything that can't have a loophole in it. I don't have that. But what I do know is that a lot of the situations that we have in our community are not about that kind of loophole. That stuff could have been prevented if we had done it according to the plan of the Senate. Now, I want to ask you something, and it's safe. How many of you agree with me? Raise your hand. Stuff could have been. If you disagree with me, raise your hand. It's safe. Okay. Alhamdulillah. My wife disagrees and Brandon disagrees. Or you've got a question?
Well, I feel like I feel a little bit differently. I definitely understand the wanting to oversee the marriage part. I just also agree with people act differently after they get to know each other for a time.
Absolutely.
I would want to marry somebody unless I had a lot of time to work with people and like finances, just to make sure we can work together as a team. And I know that if the parents are in the other room, I think that we would, that might be hidden, or people might be on better behavior. So that was just my
and I agree with you. I actually agree with you. Let me tell you something. I tell people, have you made him mad yet? Have you made her mad? Make them mad. And I'm as serious as a heart attack. Make them mad. And then you'll see their true colors.
You can also, when you have a wali and you're talking to the future partner, wife, husband, whatever it is, you get into environments where you can test their character on some level. You know, how do they react to someone who's homeless? How do they react to someone who...
Children. Children, how do they respond to children?
Yes, how do they respond to children? I know of a sister who, while they were going through the courtship, the person that she was going to marry slapped his nephew because he accidentally, mind you, this was an accident, had a shopping cart like run into his thumb. But his reflex was to smack the kid in his mouth and across his face, and that was like a red flag. But you're like, I mean, like, it was an accident. Why would you smack a kid across his face, regardless whether it was an accident or not? But that was a red flag. She didn't heed the warning and went through with the marriage, and it ended anyway. But I mean, there's red flags. Everyone that's ever been in a relationship, married and then divorced, go back to the red flags. 99.9% of the time, if you had heeded the warnings, then you probably wouldn't be in that predicament.
Now I want to come back to Bassem because he raised his hand first. But I want to say this. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, you don't know a person until you travel with them. So I'm going to tell you that if I had a daughter that was hearing to this, I'd plan a little vacation. And I'd invite that man along with me. Because you know when you get in the car and you ride in the car for 4 or 5 hours, you start getting a little irritable. You got to go to the bathroom and there's no rest area. Yeah, you know. Or you get hungry and nobody else is hungry. So I would actually plan a trip. Well, let's invite him on a trip. And his hotel room would be on that end of the hall, and yours would be on the floor down below. And I'll be up all night in the middle, making sure that nobody passes the door. Okay? But there are ways to get to know people, and I hear a lot of resistance. But what makes me sad about the resistance that I hear about in the room is that I know that many of you have been through heartbreaking stories. And yet you get emotional in this. And even in our discussion, there's emotionally defensiveness going on. I'm not saying that for anything except that I want you to recognize how emotionally this is and why you need help. Now, Bassem had his hand up, and then Ibrahim had his hand up, and then Malik. And then we got to wrap it up today.
I was just going to say, a lot of engagements don't make it. So even though it sounds like you might not be able to get to know a person, after a certain amount of time being engaged, and spending some time alone with them, you do get to know that person.
Okay.
There's a lot of engagements that don't make it. You know,
okay.
So they'll be engaged for a few months and they never get married. They say they're not going to do this.
As a matter of fact, I think the majority of, really and truly in my experience, healthy engagements are the ones that don't make it. I know that's going to surprise everybody, but it means they really used what Allah put out there to sort of test the water, to see if this person really, if I can live with this person.
This is a candidate.
You know, but you know, people are emotional and they're in a hurry. It's like, oh my God. I mean, I get people that see me at a khutbah on Friday and say, my cousin's in town, can you marry us this weekend? And I say, well, what kind of preparation have you made? We don't do preparation. We just want an Islamic marriage. I said, oh, you mean you want an illegal marriage? You want me to give you an Islamic certificate and you don't want a civil certificate so that your wife won't have any responsibility. Have you got a green card? And there you go with that stuttering again. Are you looking for a green card? Because you see, I've been around long enough that I don't mind asking the questions anymore. I don't mind the porno question. I don't mind the green card question. Because I'm really sick of this. I am so sick of seeing people's lives ruined. And I tell people when they come to my office and they're having trouble, for God's sake, please don't have any children now. Because everybody thinks a child will fix everything. Oh, if we just have a child, my marriage will be wonderful. Alhamdulillah. Oh, Allah. And the next thing you know, you got a child, and what happens? You ain't getting no sleep at night. And there's some other things you're not getting. And you aren't happy. A child does not heal anything. A child is a blessing. But not when your relationship is not good. Ibrahim, you're next, and then Brother Malik.
Can't you just simply ask the person you're engaged with, like, what makes you angry? Like,
No, because they lie. You can. But
I mean,
most
if
of the
you
people
really-
aren't
if
going
you
to tell
really
you because
connect
they
with
want to
this-
shine.
If you really connect with this person and tell them, hey, like, we both know how this is going to go. We might as well just be truthful to ourselves so we don't have to face all this crap in the future, right? And all this messy divorce and all this stuff. Do you think we are compatible?
I agree with that.
You could.
And when people come to my office, I push toward that.
You're young.
But you see, let me tell you this, Ibrahim. And I'm saying this with all the love and the respect from the bottom of my heart. Most young people that are doing this, their amygdalas are not developed. Okay, a guy's is not developed till he's 25. He's thinking like this. That girl is so pretty. And I have never had a legal relationship in my life. And I want a legal relationship. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, I want a legal relationship. I want a legal relationship. I've got some needs here. And that clouds the spiritual judgment. Now, please, if you disagree with me, tell me. You disagree with me?
No.
No, I agree with that.
And that's why we do it collectively. Brother Malik, and then you, sister, because he's been very patient. He had his hand up.
I get what you're saying. It is like Allah has prescribed Islamic way, which is I consider is the medicine, and a lot of people are rejecting the medicine.
Very well said. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. And you had your hand, and then, brother, I'll come into you. We're going to try to, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to get these questions because I think this is valuable stuff.
I just had a comment on I feel like it's even less the legal relationships and more society standing wise. If she says that, no, I don't want this because you're honest about how angry you get, and the person says, no, I don't want this relationship then in the society, it's going to be known that, first of all, you had an engagement that broke. Second of all, you were the one that was angry, you were the one with the problem. No one wants that, and no one wants to acknowledge, even in the best of circumstances, no one wants to acknowledge how angry they can get. If you ask someone, you're never going to get an honest answer.
I agree. And that's why if you go on a trip with them, I guarantee you I can find a way to make everybody in this room angry. Now, I'm not out to do that because that's not what I enjoy doing. But I guarantee you, Tina, you think you can get some people angry?
I do it every day. That's what I work. That's my job.
Yeah.
And so if you need some tips, just go to see Sister Tina or come to me. We'll help you out. We'll actually teach you how to make somebody ticked off.
Then I teach the person how to respond when they are ticked off.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal. I mean, you can get rid of bad behavior, but you need to replace it with something good. You can't tell somebody, stop doing this bad thing, but not teach them how to get the same thing the right way. Does that make
That's
sense?
right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, see, one of the things that I teach individuals, almost every individual needs this. Are you responding to your situation or are you reacting? Are you a nuclear reactor or are you responding? Are you dealing with your feelings or an outburst because you have an unmet need? Now, brother, you had your hand up. Thank you for your patience.
No, I was just going to tell the parent. I mean, you can ask questions, people that will lie, and it's a common fact. Wait for that person to forget and ask them the same question again, and you get, if you get a different answer, you know that they're lying.
But Ismail, didn't you have your hand up, brother? Or are you just stretching? Or you said you want to get married? Was that it? I'm just kidding. Yes, Sister Melody.
I have heard from other Muslims that when you are getting to know someone, when you're going to get married, that you can be out in public with them. Is that true or no?
You can be in public with them,
No,
but you should be chaperoned. You cannot be alone with them.
But I think
But
Melody's saying,
scares me, Mason.
I know, but I think Melody's saying you're in public, so you're not alone.
Right.
Is that okay?
But how did you get there? Did you get on the subtract? You well, as long as you have people around you, that's fine. But just know that when you push Allah's pencil, you are subjected. You're subjecting yourself to perdition. In other words, I know a lot of people that do that. They say, well, we're not alone. There were 20 people in the theater. Yeah, but how dark was it in the theater? And did your hand stay on this side of that little rail that goes up and down between the two of you? Or did it go over there and lay on that person's leg?
And in this society, it's acceptable for people to go out and hang out. I mean, not in Muslim society, in American society. So even if there's 50 people there and you're holding hands, they're not going to think that's anything wrong.
Yes.
In American society, that's okay.
Right.
So you're being supervised or chaperoned by these strangers, you're really not. I mean, you can do whatever
Because
you
they
want.
don't care what you do.
Yeah, you can care less. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go to Disney. I mean, you know, City Walk can be quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Very.
And look at the people kissing, holding hands, doing all kinds of stuff. They're not being super. Nobody cares what you're doing. You want to keep yourself safe. And, you know, and we're not finished with this, by the way. We will be dealing with this again. I want to say this. I know that I don't have all the answers. I want you to hear this loud and clear. But what I also know is that in our community, the foundation is not being taught. And people are not being reminded of this, and they're not being protected. And then later on, in in 6 months, people are coming to me and they're saying, I made a mistake. This is just terrible. I'm not happy. I want for you what I want for me. I want everybody in my family to be happy. And that's why I'm on such a soapbox about this. Because if you don't do it Allah's way, and then you aren't happy, it's worse than when you do it Allah's way. You did everything you can do, and then things come up that you didn't know about. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
I was gonna say that.
Because if I have been responsible and done my very best, then I'm not going to beat myself up. But if you sat in this class and then you don't do what I'm recommending, because I'm giving you the proofs, then you're going to feel worse. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me?
Absolutely.
You're going to feel worse. Now somebody raised their hand and I missed it. Would you please?
Yeah, I just want to make, it says in Islam, you marry for beauty, money, and righteous or pious and all that. And then you're giving all that. But aren't you forgetting one of the main things like personality?
Go ahead.
Oh, you'll be having, okay.
Yeah, you see these things right here? I'm going to be covering all that.
Oh, okay.
See that right there?
Because the most important thing is personality and the emotional health, because a lot of people have emotional extra baggage which you don't find out till later.
Let me say this, because I want to bring back a reality to what the brother's saying. I send my daughter to UCF, and my daughter meets the knight in shining armor. At the first MSA meeting, he led the prayer. Oh, and he reminded me of Dad when he used to lead the prayer. Oh, the Arabic was so beautiful, mashallah. That didn't remind me of that. And on and on she goes. And then I get a phone call, Dad, I think I met the one.
Louder.
Dad, I think I met the one. I get a phone call. You should have heard it being a prayer. Mashallah. Oh, Dad, this tajweed is so beautiful. Mashallah. And she's in love. You can clearly see it. All of you who know what I'm talking about have seen it before. It's called infatuation. It happens. In the real world, I understand that we are living in America. You are going to send your children to college. They're going to see somebody, and it's not going to happen just like this. Because there have already been 1,500 MSA meetings with that person before you ever meet them. And that makes it even harder. I want to share the principles of Islam, and I also want us to deal with the reality of the situation. I understand that everything doesn't happen just like this. But do we need to know this? Do you think that there's an essence in this that helps us when we're dealing with that situation, when our daughter or son calls and says, I met my other half at MSA, and they lifted me up into a truck just as I was going to make a speech about Islam. And you can see all of that. And then you put your arm around them and you say, mashallah, let's talk about this. And you don't tell them you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. Astaghfirullah. So let's talk about this. Do you think you might be a little infatuated? You don't tell them you are infatuated. Do you think you might be a little infatuated? And you talk to them in the way that you would want to be talked to. And that's what's missing. Do you agree with that or you disagree with it? You're allowed to disagree with it.
I agree.
But most kids in this community tell me I can't talk to my parents. Kids tell me over and over and over again, you're the first imam that I could ever really be honest with. Because if I was honest with the imam, he's going to go right straight to my daddy, and my daddy is going to punish me for weeks. I'm going to lose my car, I'm going to lose my bedroom, I'm going to lose my cell phone, I'm going to lose everything, and he's not going to talk to me for 3 weeks. An already difficult time in high school or college, and now you've got your parents that want to punish you because you're just human. And something happened that's human. What was that, Macy? Oh, I thought you said something. Anyway, I love you all for the sake of Allah. Let me tell Masoon what slide we stopped.